All right, people, what's up? I'm Seoli. I'll introduce myself. I am the lead composer for Beyond Skyrim Elsweyr, and besides that, I do audio work for Beyond Skyrim. So for a few of their projects, I do sound design and voice editing and that kind of stuff. And besides that, I've started doing level design recently, but today we're focusing on music. For the next hour, I will be walking you through some of the Elsewhere music to show you what goes on in behind the scenes and how I kind of do my things. The Elsewhere soundtrack has a pretty specific style and it's kind of unique among the other soundtracks in Beyond Skyrim. It kind of moves away from the traditional RPG stuff like fantasy music, and it kind of goes towards something a little more exotic. And I think some of the techniques behind that are pretty interesting. Even if you don't know music theory or you know nothing about how music works, it's fine. We're not gonna dive into complicated stuff today. We're gonna dive into cool stuff. Um, there's a bunch of stuff that I could show you. We're gonna start in the spirit of Halloween, and we're gonna go with a dungeon track. So if the music is too soft or too loud, just let me know, because I can't actually measure it. But this is basically everybody adjust your stream volume and stuff if you want, or tell me to turn it up or down. But if it's fine, I'll keep it this way. I'm hearing no complaints, so I'm gonna assume it's fine. So this is one of the dungeon tracks for Elsewhere. I'll leave it playing for a little bit. Well, I think you get the vibe when you hear this. This is actually one of the... Oh, sorry, that's not dungeon music, it's cave music. Music, mic down a bit, music up a bit. You should be able to tweak the stream volume, but if it's already at maximum, let me know and I can turn it up a little bit. In fact, I will turn it up a little bit, because why the hell not? There we are. So here we are. There's actually not that much going on here. Now you're probably quite confused when you're looking at all this, and I don't blame you. Basically, what I've done here is something that at least that I tend to do for cave music, which is a really interesting thing. So when you think about music and an orchestra, you think about instruments playing together, and that's essentially what this is, but quite different. What I've done is I've taken the audio files of instruments, and I should be able to actually play one of these for you guys here. Oh, I think it just died. No, it's good. It's good. Here we are. So this is one of the Elsweyr instruments we always use. It's called a Dilruba. Basically, I could be playing that, but what I've done here is I've used a metric shit ton of effects. They're all kind of flying across the screen right now. And a bunch of other things to make it sound like this. And as you can see, it's quite a different sound. I mean, this is about as low as I can go with it normally, and I've tweaked it to sound like this. Let's pull it from the start. There you go. So there's a bunch of different techniques you can use to do this, and one of the primary ones I always use is pitch. So if you're not familiar with that, if I play a note on, let's go with the same instrument actually. Let's turn this down a little bit. If I play a note, it's on a specific pitch, a specific note pitch, and what I can do is I've taken this audio from this instrument here, and I just pitched it down by what's called an octave, which is basically, it's one of the terms for pitch. I'm not going to get into that, but basically I've made it a lot deeper. So the original sound like this, and I've simply tweaked this knob and made it this. And you can see it gives quite a different vibe, and it's a much more impactful sound to me. Then combining that with a bunch of effects, I'll turn them on one by one, so you can kind of hear the difference. So this is the entire thing dry. And now one by one, I'm gonna turn them on. You'll hear it change. And by basically, I'm not going to explain how all these things work, but basically you can change certain aspects of a sound. For example, here's the same sound we had. I can do this to change specific frequencies of the sound. And this gives you control over kind of how it comes across. Oh, there's a lot of fucking questions. The crackle isn't normal. That's unfortunately Discord, and there's nothing I can do to change that. I'm pretty sure I'm already on my... Yeah, there's nothing I can do to change that because I have to be on this stupid driver to share it through Discord. Would your cave music and comic music share a theme? Not particularly. For Elsweyr, I'm not really using... I'm less focusing on musical notes into the composition. I'm more focusing on the manipulation of sound and rhythm. But we'll get to that in a minute. So you layer the instrument for timbre. Yeah. So that's probably the good way to describe it. Timbre is generally like the spectral shaping of your sound. So what I just did here. And it gives you individual control over every single element of your sound. And you can use that to change things. One of the examples of that is this. If you're not wearing headphones, you're like wearing earphones, or you're like on a phone speaker, you probably won't hear this. It's very deep in the frequency spectrum. You can probably see it if I pull it up. This is very subtle, this sound. Actually, I was supposed to turn this back down. I completely forgot. What are you on? 75, 80? You're on 80. Okay. This is a file I had on my laptop. Rather painful to listen to. I think it's called After Effects fucking melting. I think this was when I was messing around with Adobe After Effects and the CPU was dying. This is the sound that came out of it. And I simply took that, edited this thing to absolute hell. And then you get this really soft kind of undertone layer. The dark, deep textures. And you can combine that with other things. So I don't know what I've got here. A can hit. Looks like... Actually, oh, this is probably a very interesting one to show off. What's this? It's literally someone hitting a metal can or something. And I've simply taken that through this magical thing. If I'm going to turn all the effects off and just leave that one on. So this is the whole thing unedited. And this is with that one effect. And it's a really surreal, otherworldly kind of thing. And then you combine that with the other cleanup effects and general reverb stuff, and you get this. And that's... For the cave music, I use all kinds of random sounds and just manipulate them until they fit into the palette. The cave music is like probably the least musical tracks I'm doing because it's kind of ambient noise. There's a few tonal elements, like there's the thing we had up here, this one, and there's some stuff down here. I gotta figure out where this all is. There's this, which is the same thing as up above, which is a different instrument. And I did some other stuff down here. Again, heavily manipulated. This is kind of how the cave music works and how I approach it. But you may have noticed. Secret file. Now, I've forgotten what this is, but I fucking bet it's one of my Easter eggs. I think it is. Here, hold on, let's go give it a shot. Just play this and see if it actually is. Because I like to hide images in my tracks. Yep, there she is. There's some wizardry you can pull off to hide images, and I've apparently hidden a kitten in this one. And the best thing is, you can barely hear it. Nobody is gonna notice that, except for now because I showed it to like 30 people. But let's see, I've not been paying attention to the chat. Since you're doing a cave, are you using the echo effects into your music design to reflect how caves tend to echo in open areas? No, not really. The reverb that, of course, I mean, there is a ton of reverb, as if, in a cave, that's the same thing. But it's not done because of that. It's just done because, I want to create a spatial kind of creepy feeling, and reverb just has that element that makes it creepy. Like, for example, I can take this track and turn off every single reverb unit. This is an absolute nightmare to do because I have to check every single track individually, but it can be arranged. So you know how this thing sounds pretty like, before I change anything, you've heard it. This is the same thing with all reverb turned off. Like, it's extremely dull and weird. So reverb alone is probably everyone's favorite tool, really, for any composer. It's just a fantastic thing, and there's a lot of ways you can use it, and there's also a lot of ways you can mess up using it. But once you get the hang of it, you can make some pretty neat things with it. I also should have a couple of underground temples where this kind of theme will fit quite well. This is for a cave. In fact, well, you've probably seen the concept art actually for this. Either way, this is kind of how I do my cave music. It's not really complex. It's just getting creative with how you manipulate sounds, and I think the best example for it is probably that can hit here. I just love this. Like, that's a metal object. It just sounds like nothing else. Like, well, I mean, like nothing you've ever heard. It's just awesome what you can do with this stuff. So now we're gonna switch over to something a bit different. We're gonna go onto combat music. The combat tracks of Elsweyr are... Oh, sorry for the loading. I think it follows my cursors. Does it? This is really weird on the stream. I'm not really sure why it's doing this. I'm just seeing a big cursor float throughout my... Epileptics, look away. If you're in here. There we go. Should... There we go. It's back. Here's combat. So I quickly need to leave this running for a minute because you can see it up here. You can see my memory is... Oh, my PC is chugging. I am on maximum buffer size. Let me check something quick. Not much I can do. Streaming apparently really doesn't work too well. I'm not sure why this is... I'm going to close down some other applications. Give me 1 second. Just to try and preserve some memory on this. Here we are. Closing Twitch helped a little bit. Let's see if it plays. Yep. Quickly gonna make an AToMM version out of this so I can change things without messing with my settings. And we can make this a little bit louder so it's audible for the stream. Is that good? Loudness wise? Let me know. Alright. So this is a combat track I released yesterday. You may have heard it, you may not have. It doesn't really matter. So already you can tell this is quite different from the cave music, obviously. There's a lot more going on. This is more like more traditional music. You know, you got several layers with specific functions. We've got this percussion stuff and other ones. And that's kind of what I want to talk about here. I'm a drummer myself. Been playing drums for 12 years. I've done percussion, I've done drums for over half my life at this point, and I know a lot about that kind of stuff. So in my combat music, as you'd expect, it really, you know, it's one of the core elements of it, rhythm and timing and that kind of stuff. So I want to talk about the layering in percussion. So first, let's go over the different drums we have in this. This is one of the low-level combat tracks, so the drums aren't too crazy. We can go to one of the crazy ones later if you want to. This is one of them. This is an ensemble of multiple djembes. Djembes are pretty common drums. They're African. A lot of the drums I use for Elsweyr are African drums, actually. We have another favorite of mine, which is these. Now, on their own, they sound kind of lame and stupid. And some of them even strange, like this one. Like, the timing is weird. But it serves a purpose, as you'll hear in a minute. This one is very simple. And there's this. And some general... Oh god, what?
Sorry, why is it so staticky?
That's Discord. I can't change that, sorry. That's just because Discord's bad.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. And this is something else I use. I generally take the first impact of my drums and reverse the audio of it, and then place it in front of it, so you get this. Oh, I can't. Oh shit! Hold on. There. This is actually kind of a light one. I can give you a little sneak peek of. Should I give you a sneak peek of a boss track that I know? No, I'm not gonna do that. We'll handle some other ones later that have bigger swells into percussion sections. To really show you how powerful it can be. So you can see all together, this sounds fine. Like it's one cohesive unit working together. And that kind of changes throughout. Like here, there's less of them. But this, what they're playing here, sounds different than this. But it's literally the exact same notes. Like they haven't changed a thing. So just by layering specific things and having them have individual timings, you can combine it and like just layer things to function. So this one has a bit of a deeper sound. So I gave it a very simple roll. This one is much higher. So it's got a bit more of a complex rhythm, and that kind of fills it together. The big one takes the slow hits, and the high one takes the faster accents. And that's a very common technique to kind of, at least it's how I do it, to shape the impact the drum has, and that's kind of how I determine what it does. So not in this track, we'll be visiting a Dance of Tooth and Claw, which is probably like the signature piece at this point. That has like really big ones that only do very few hits, but that single hit has so much impact, it changed the whole vibe. Besides this, I want to talk about some other stuff. So you've heard instruments in here. Like I'll mute the percussion for a minute. Oh, I'm stupid. What you hear here is probably the most common instrument on the soundtrack, which is the duduk. Super beautiful wind instrument from, I think, the Middle East. I absolutely love this thing. And basically, this is a very normal thing in composition to have an instrument that plays a melody or that plays a drone or a few short hits. Well, I muted the strings, so you can't fucking hear them. And here's actually another technique of layering. So up here we had different functions for percussion, like kind of, going hand in hand. Here we have just pure stacking. So I have a cello here. And I have this thing. Oh god. And just like with the cave music, I took the audio, I pitched it down, and I changed it a little bit, and now you layer that with the cellos and you get this. And it just gives a fuller, thicker, more powerful sound to it. Layering is one of the most common techniques for this kind of stuff. But this is normal instruments playing, as I already said. Just playing melodies. But what you can also do is not use an instrument, but use a synthesizer. Now, these are electronic instruments that not only let you control what notes being played and how, but they let you control the sound. So I've got these things here. Again, if you're not on headphones, you might not be able to hear this. Very simple, they're just playing some notes, following the lower bass sections. But these are actually these things. I know it looks really complicated, don't worry about all the buttons and stuff, but these are tools I use all the time to create sound from scratch. So I can play whatever the hell I want on this thing. Like, and I can change so much. Like, I think can I copy the value? Yes. I can just do this. It's not too audible on this one because I really suppressed it. I turn these things off. You can really hear it well, likely. Yeah, here it comes. That's one knob that does that, and you can change everything about your sound. In theory, you can the very words I speak right now could be recreated identically through these techniques. It's extremely difficult to do that, but speech synthesis works like this. It just generates sound from scratch, and just it's crazy. Your stream went green. Oh, let's try this again then. Whoopa, back online. Is it good? Are we moving?
It's still charging. Yeah, there we go.
Nope.
Yeah,
it's up.
yeah,
It's up.
Yeah.
Cool. I've been missing some questions as well, so let's just have a look here. What do you do to create a sense of I don't even know what that word means, bro. I'm sorry. Reciprocity. What is that? Between the tracks that make up the world. Do you mean consistency throughout the tracks? Is there anything you do to tie everything together? Yeah. Basically, we use similar instruments throughout the whole soundtrack. Similar, similar techniques, similar kind of approaches to it, and that combined with some music theory stuff that I'm not going to explain because it's complicated. It just lets you shape things. So you take your sound, your instruments, you process them, you change them if you want, and then you use them to play notes. And the notes kind of, both really have control over the emotion, and the feel and the vibe of the whole thing. Anyway, these things that I just showed let you control sound from or just rather create it and control it from scratch, which is really, first of all, really fun to do, and also a very powerful tool. I think it's the only ones I used in here, but in some other ones I've actually like made them play full melodies and just layering that with like actual flutes and stuff, and you don't hear them, but they still have a major purpose. So that's. Oh, here's another fun one. This is another form of percussion. So we've had this, which is of course drums. There's also something here called tonal percussion, which is just like with drums, you hit them, but they have a tone to them, like an actual pitch. So you've heard these all over the Elsweyr soundtrack. I use them all the time. Basically, these ones are called gamelan, I think, and they are Indonesian types of instruments. You can see them as like pans and bowls and gongs that they're hitting. It's a very specific music thing in their culture. And basically, the way we use them here is probably a direct insult to them, because the way we play these things here has absolutely nothing to do with their culture. But I'm purely using these for the sound they get, because that is such a beautiful timbre to it. Once again, layering to get a little bit of a sharp edge to it. You can see my CPU slowly melting. I should learn composition like this. Oh my god. I started getting an interest in composing about 4 to 5 years ago, and I went into music notation software to actually write notes on like physical paper and stuff, sheet music, and started messing around. I had played piano for a few years at that point, and about drums for about 7 years. And it just was really fun, and I just kind of got into this software here, and I just started figuring things out on my own, kind of figuring out how all this stuff works. And I got into a degree for music technology, which I'm now doing the last year of, and there I learned a ton of stuff regarding this, everything from composition to the mixing of your music to the processing to the creation of sound to everything regarding it, even like things in physics, how sound works, and so much stuff that just helps. It's a very extensive thing, and you don't need all that to do well, but it certainly helped me. It's been a long road. I've been doing this for years. And generally with audio work, it takes absolute years to get anywhere. Because not only do you have to be good at this, but you have to train your ears. Because, hearing is not the primary sense of the human body. So, like when I look at a piece of art, I'm not a fucking artist. I'm terrible at drawing. But when I see a 2D art piece and the perspective is just wrong, I can see it. And when probably most of you would hear a piece of music that has poor mixing in like one specific area, I would bet $1,000 on the fact you wouldn't hear that. Not because you're bad at it, but because your ears aren't meant to hear that kind of stuff unless you train them. So it takes years of just constant practice to learn this stuff, and that's how you can make this kind of stuff. This is my favorite thing about the soundtrack. These sounds. This is the same thing as with the concept music, the cave music. You can hear similarities, I would bet. It's the same thing. I literally just took a guitar note. Oh, I'm so stupid. Here. That's the input, and the result is this. And that again, that's just through pitching, through processing, and I mean it's quite a bit. I mean there's a lot of stuff here that goes on with the processing, lots of things, lots of individual things, and all the windows popping up is just on one track, and there's 4 tracks for this. So there's a lot going on, but it's just a lot of messing around until you get the right thing. Of course, you know what you want to get, but when you change a sound with one of these plugins, it's always going to come out slightly different than you want, and that is sometimes a struggle, sometimes a blessing, because it can give you really cool results, sometimes that you weren't expecting. Like this, I think this was a happy accident here. I accidentally reversed some of these bells that we were playing earlier, and it turned out to be a great addition to the piece. In context. Oh, I've muted. Oh, that's on purpose, never mind. You pitch guitars down. Yep. It's guitars. It's literally like 6 notes on a guitar and that's it. You don't need much. It's just a guitar. It's an I think a Spanish guitar, I believe. I'm not sure. What am I doing? I can check this. It is whatever this is. I don't. It doesn't really show me because I'm on another thing. It's fine. It is a guitar. And how long did it take me to make this? I wouldn't know. Let's find out. This took me 11 hours and 20 minutes, and that's excluding mastering, but that's about an hour, I would say, so about 12 hours. I think that's kind of all I had here. Again, we have some more examples of the processing. So we have this brass here. And then I just took it, pitched it down, and get this. And put them together. It has so much more power to it. Just one little thing, a few clicks, and you're done. And it's just, you know, if you know what you're doing, you can kind of correct the sound. I really had to like boost the bass in that lower one. But I could probably show the difference actually. I can just turn this down. You really hear the difference if you're on good headphones. Power is gone. This is called equalization. Oh god, I'm stupid. I did so many tweaks. Oh, my stream, I think it just died. Did it die?
Yeah.
Yeah, Discord doesn't like audio very much. I'm gonna have to reset it. There we go. 72060. All right. And that was quick. Everyone got a visual again? Is it working? Yes, it's working. Cool. Yes, well, that's kind of this track. Let's move on to the next one. There it is. This is a dance of tooth and claw. There. Sorry for the bad. Here comes the cursor. You ready for this? Oh yes. This is true immersion right here. This is how you compose people. Look at this. Look at this zooming action. I'm not sure why it does this. It's really weird. I've never seen this before, but enjoy my. Yeah, I can zoom in on these buttons if you want. I'm not really sure why it's doing this. We can create the Eye of Magnus. Look at this. Oh, it's gone. It's currently stuck, so don't worry about the stream freezing. Whenever I load this file, it always crashes for a tiny bit. It's kind of like the creation kit in that way. I'll just give it a minute. No, but it doesn't die, although it's taking surprisingly long. I don't even know if you can still hear me. I assume you can.
I can hear you.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'll just let this die out and wait for it. You can see the white screen there coming in. I might have to. Oh no, there it is. Magnificent. My memory load is ridiculously high. Oh my god, what's going on? It could be because I'm streaming in 60 FPS, so I'm gonna try changing that. I should be able to. Can I not do that here, please? Can I? No. Okay, hold on. I have to reset the stream again. Sorry, gotta make it work. I've lowered the FPS, and hopefully it. Yeah, my memory now isn't taking as much of a shit as it was before, so that's good. Sorry for the FPS drop, but I have to make this functional. So this is a bit of a larger file, as you can see. We have 88 tracks loaded up, ready to go. The reason being is there's this. These are the choirs that you've been hearing on our soundtrack. they're custom recorded. In this case, it was me and 2 friends. It usually is me and like one other guy, but well, you've probably heard this one at some point. It's soft. I'll turn it up, which means I have to make a separate version for it. Recovered 6 AToMM. There we are. And give me a minute to turn this up for you lot. Alright, lads. Level's good. Loudness good. So it's barely melting. Oh, there it is. No, it's not happy. I'm not sure why it's doing this. Probably because it's Discord streaming. I can't change that, unfortunately. But yeah, the choir is what we do for that is, you know, it sounds kind of like a choir. If I just turn the vocals on only. As you can see, we do a ton of individual takes. For example, it sounds like shit with one, but as you add layers, and then add other mics to it, so you have multiple microphones set up for this. You can hear that one's in your left ear, and this one is in your right ear. Combine them, and you get this. I could have just done that. And you can basically do that with anything you do. So we've just taken the same thing, recorded it like 12 times. In this one, the choirs are actually kind of weak compared to other tracks. But yeah, it's a pretty common thing for the soundtrack. It's a pain to record these. Literally, we're just screaming. Like, I'm not kidding. It's literally screaming for hours straight. And it fucking hurts. But a lot of tea, a lot of coffee, and a lot of persistence, and just pure balls really gets you through that. No, I don't care about this epic. Get out. Yeah, we just record these ourselves, and it's a lot of screaming. And we will be making a behind the scenes video on that at some point, released on the BS YouTube channel. But for now, let's dive into this. So there's a lot going on. We've got the same thing as before. I'll just turn the percussion up. A lot fuller this time already. We've got a new kind of layer in this. So let's listen to the difference if I turn this track off. So first without. And now let's turn it up. Now, I don't know if you can hear that. It's a very subtle difference, but this is what's called a shaker. And they're like these kind of, they're kind of like samba balls. Have you seen those? They're kind of, they're shakers. And it adds a bit of a pace to the whole drums. I like how you guys are excited about these drums. You have no idea what's in the works at the moment. Some boss track stuff is going to be pretty crazy. I might give a sneak peek of that at the end. I might. But yeah, my PC is somehow not happy. It's a fucking beast of a machine. It's got 32 gigs of RAM, but it's struggling. This percussion has something else, which is again the processing stuff. Now, if you pay close attention, you can actually hear that it sounds like the drums, just really manipulated. And it adds a little bit of background ambience to it. I haven't actually done this anywhere else. There's a lot of things in this track that I did only once, because this is the first one that I made ever for Elsweyr. So there's a lot of things in here that I haven't actually done since that I should probably have a look at again. I'm noticing, what is all this? Megalovania. What? Are you fucking serious? I put Megalovania in this? Cliff Racer song? Fuck off. Did I actually? This is what you get when you stream your work on Twitch and the chat gets funny. Anyway, jokes aside, here we have more of these synthesizers I was talking about. So these are quite a lot more prominent, a lot more in your face. I think it's this one. Yeah. We have a few others. This is actually a synthesizer as well, but it's an analog synthesizer, which means I actually have a physical synthesizer right next to me right now. I can't show it on the stream. But yeah, I use these things all the time to shape sound. I think I have some other... No, not in this one. Okay, that's a shame. Anyway, let's have a look over some more layering techniques, because I have a ton of it here. Here we have something, I don't know if there's not like an actual term for it, but I call it partial layering. So I've got this. Sounds like shit on its own. Just playing 4 notes. You've got this. It's playing the same notes, but it's only playing a few of them. But together, it adds pacing. Sorry for the freezes. And then you combine it with this. Like a single hit, you get like an accent on every time when the chord switches. Very subtle, you may not even be able to hear it, but very subtle. Then you combine this with the horns. And maybe even with some staccato. Just a layer of cellos. And all together, that's the whole fucking track. Give me a minute to unmute all... Oh, no, don't do that. And that's just brass and strings working together there. Again, on their own, not sounding that good, but in the full thing... Oh, I fucking died. Well, that's a fun little detail. There's a gong here. One of these. This is for some reason I've only done this in this track. I really should be using them more, but those kind of sounds can be used very well. Holy shit, for transitions. So between these two sections here, and between this section here, and at the end here. It just creates this kind of transition thing. We can talk more about the drum layering I did earlier, or showed earlier, with the same thing here. Different kinds of drums, playing different kinds of things. This one's much bigger and doing much slower movements. And this one is extremely huge. If you're not on headphones or good speakers, you won't be able to hear it, but you can see here as like a stab, like a spike. And that spike is incredibly low. Well, it's not that low, but it adds a lot of bass to it. So at the start of every new block, I guess, you have one of those bass stabs that just kind of punches you in the face. Also, we have this, an EDM kick that you hear in like dance music and shit. I use these all the time to have more bass emphasis. So that had like a little thud to it. There's a couple of other drums in here. Wow, I distorted this one apparently. Wait, how did I... Hold on. Oh, that's cool, okay. This is a really good example here. This one on its own sounds just... like it's having a stroke. It's terrible. But if I take all the drums, let's take the big ones out, take the gong out, take these one out. If I take this one out, and I turn it back on, it adds just a little bit of detail that you really can make the whole thing, you know, lift up a little bit. And by layering them with everything else, For example, these bad boys. Again, they sound terrible on their own, but pretty good altogether. Here's another fun example. You heard this one. This is actually originally quite a big one. Now what I did is I completely removed all the bass from this, and when you want a powerful drum, you generally tend to have a lot of bass. I specifically removed it here because all the other ones already contain... I gotta turn that stupid gun off. A lot of bass, and now if you're on good headphones, you're gonna be able to hear this. If not, you're gonna have to wait a little bit. Now I've turned all the bass back on for this one, and I don't know if you can hear it, but it's a mess. Generally, with mixing your music, you want to be really careful with what frequencies of sound are used where, and generally the bass and subregions are very dangerous. Like for example, if you know what it is, bass boosting. I don't need to explain it to you, but if I turn this up on the bass region specifically, like it's gone. So you have to be really careful with... Oh, my stream's paused. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna have to... No, it's fine. It's fine. There's a lot of stuff in the chat. Let me have a look. How many tracks do you expect to make for a project? How much time? It depends on the project, really. Since Elsweyr is unpaid with no deadlines, we can do as much as we want, really. So we have like 60 of them planned out, I think. With many of... Well, I think I'm like about 15 already finished. I'm not sure if we'll do all those 60, but we'll do a lot. And with other projects, the deciding factor is the scale of the project, the budget, the deadlines, the amount of people working on it, all that kind of stuff. So it tends to differ. But for AAA projects, I would say probably a few years with between 20 and 50 tracks is pretty usual. How many minutes? I have no idea. It depends. Like with game music, it also depends on how it's implemented. So if you have music like for example Doom with the soundtrack, there's a lot of things unused most of the time, like a lot of options that the music could take during the gameplay, but you don't always hear it. So you actually write a lot more than you might hear, but on different playthroughs you might come across different kinds of interactions with the music. And with games like Skyrim, it's literally just a fucking file playing, maybe looping here a bit, and that's it. So it again, all this stuff depends on the project. So I can't really answer that, to be honest. We have 15 minutes left. Not really... I could have is there anything else in here that's interesting? I put wind ambience in this. I put wind in this. Wow. I never noticed this. Again, just weird techniques to layer things out, just using weird manipulated wind to fill your spectrum. But if it works, then it works. It's fine. Apparently, I did. Slight panning options here for some reason. I've done a lot of things that I haven't really used since I started this one. Let's see what this is. We have Gamelan playing here. Distorted. Manipulated. And then here... Yep. Really weird, but together forms this strangely manipulated thing that kind of works pretty well. Oh, what did he put in the chat here? Jesus. I see, like in the film that said shoot 701 to know what your vocal setup. My vocal setup, it's a terrible room and an SM7B as a mic with an audience ID44 as the interface. I think it's time to move to another project because there's not that much here. I thought this would take longer than it did, so I'm gonna have to have a quick look through my projects here to see if there's anything cool. We can have a look at some exploration stuff. Maybe there's some nighttime ambience. which doesn't really contain much new things. We can have a look at some more combat, maybe. Oh yeah, one of the more epic ones we could take. I am not sure if I can run it on stream. Not that one, definitely. I might be able to run this on stream. I'm gonna try it. So get ready for another loading screen. You know what time it is. Here it is. Yeah, you've been waiting for it. I know you have. Let's make a new Eye of Magnus. Can we circle around this? Can I? Yeah. Oh, look at this. See, this is why you come to these streams, you know? This is it. I can do it here. This was actually staring you down in the soul. Look at that. The things you do when your project file loads, honestly, you get some weird stuff. Here's a clock here. Yeah, look at this clock. You see this shit? It's so slow. I can't even show you, but it says loading and stretching up here. When you have a lot of choirs, in our case, with all those doubling things, all those re-recordings, and you stretch every single one of them, it has to load it like this. So it takes, you can see the loading bar here, just kind of. Is this entertaining? I gotta do something when it loads. I might have crashed it. Can you freeze tracks in FL? No, you can. Well, kind of manually, but not automatically. No. I'm not sure why they. Well, actually, maybe at this point you can. I just haven't really needed anything like that. I'm just gonna have to wait for this to load. I'm sorry. You can see my Discord notifications though. It's got 4 pings. Look at that. I'm just gonna wait this out. I think it's at about 75%, so it should be up in a minute. Oh, it's fine. This is one of the epic level tracks. So generally with combat, you have low level, standard, epic level, and then boss tracks. So I might give you a slight sneak peek at the boss track later on. But this is one of the epic level tracks, and they go hard. Once again, we have a fine example of layering here. This is one of my favorite ones, actually. I've got 2 brass things doing this. You may have heard them. But underneath we have this fucking dubstep synth. Or whatever this is. This is an external synthesizer I used, and I just took reverb. And then I put bass boosting on this. And you can laugh all you want, but it sounds fucking sick. And here we have something I mentioned earlier. We have an EDM kick, literally just going constant sub bass. You might not be able to hear it depending on what device you're listening on. We have a bunch of drums here, you know, just kind of playing along and doing their thing. And a reverse. And I can quickly demonstrate. Oh, give me a minute. Oh. Like it kind of like foreshadows the impact, which surprisingly is an incredibly powerful way of making drums. So here, let's. It's not. These files, they sweep into the impact, which gives it a bit more of an edge. It just works really well. Do we have anything else interesting in here? We have the choirs again. These are much more recent. We recorded these probably about 2 months ago. Let's see, what else do we have? I'm seeing something back here. Oh, this is pretty cool. Yeah, yeah. It's these things. More manipulation, but we've got some live pitching here, so... really weird brass stuff. But here, I don't know if you can hear it, but it's pitching down. So if I turn this off, you'll hear it plays one note. Turn this back on. I'm not sure if the Discord quality of the stream lets it through, but you can change the pitch of a sound as it's playing by doing this kind of stuff. This is called automation. And you've been seeing it throughout the entire stream because I use it everywhere. And you should use it whenever you want to. But it lets you control things. So here I'm controlling the volume of my vocals throughout my track with this line. And you can do this with anything. So here, a little trick with drums. You can hear the difference. They sound much thicker and more powerful because of this. A little plugin called ODT, which is just like it's kind of it's a compressor, which is basically a form of audio editing that lets you kind of, in this case, make things a lot fatter. And that just turns itself on there. And reverse snares, no, they are just the drums, really. I'm pretty sure they're just the impact of this reversed. And I think the most extreme example of this is in the boss track. So I've got 5 minutes left. So I'm going to give you a slight sneak peek at one little section of boss track. And then we're done. So we're going to get the old familiar loading screen. I hope you're ready for it. Here it comes. Yeah, this was pretty much the stream. I'm going to leave you with a little sneak peek, as I just said, which I have to load up. But if there's any questions, now is the right time to shoot. If there's anything you want to know, anything you've been wondering about your whole life, anything. I can see one person typing, so we'll just wait for that. Are there tuts you watched? Wait, what do you mean tuts? To get ideas for design? I'm not sure what you mean by that, sorry. Where is Elsweyr? Tutorials? Not really, no. This is loaded up, but because it's stupid, I have to let it play for a bit with the audio muted because this is dumb. So please keep shooting questions, and in the last 2 minutes or the last 30 seconds, I'll give you a bit of a sneak peek. Am I working on Riverhold songs too? I've done one for the Riverhold Hills. The other composer, Trivial Galaxy, I don't think he's in here at the moment. No, he's currently working on Riverhold City music, and it's fucking fantastic. Any tutorials you watch to get ideas for design? I'm not sure what you mean by design, but if you mean the style of the soundtrack, no, I did not. I just took inspiration from the environment and from the culture of the Khajiit, and slapped all that together, and this is what came out. I'm just waiting for this thing to load all my things. I don't think I can mute. Actually, I can mute it because I'm a genius. I can switch my audio device and completely bypass stream audio. Because, well, it's not because I'm a genius. It's because Discord is stupid. But oh yeah. This is not a good idea because I can't change stuff. Never mind. We're back on this. I'm gonna hope that it's functional. I need to let these play a little bit and warm them up before they can get going. Okay, I'm gonna leave you with a slight sneak peek of something, and then we're done. I'm not gonna tell you what this is. I'm not gonna tell you what it's for, but it's a boss track. Oh, I gotta turn it up. Sorry. I can't do that because, bruh, just turn up your volume, okay? Just turn it up yourself. And that is all you're getting. That was it. That was it. We're done. Bloop bloop. Ending stream. Ashley, have fun. Up next, we have Ashley doing weather creation. So have fun with some tricky implementation stuff on weathers and on crazy stuff that I do not understand. I hope you enjoyed my thing. I tried my best. And yeah, I hope it was good.
It was very great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, very, very great. Very
Hey,
awesome
got you,
music.
homies.
See you soon.